Hi. My name is Parlin. I'm from Utah State University. I'm with the R&D lab there. It's called IDEAS, and I always have to read this. Interactive Design for Instructional Applications and Simulations. I didn't come up with that name. Anyway, this is GeePerS Math, and it's a location-based game to teach math skills to deaf and hard of hearing kids. So, it's a Stepping Stones of Technology project through the Department of Ed, Office of Special Education, and it's a Phase 1 project. And we're only about 6 months into it, so we're really in the prototype development phase. All right. There's a large body of literature that tells us that children that are deaf and hard of hearing have quite a bit of trouble with math skills, especially word problems, and that's what we're addressing here. A lot of it's due to their lower language level skills and syntax and key terms and passive forms of expression. So if you present a straightforward word problem like Mary has 4 apples, Peter has 3, how many do they have together? That's not too much of a problem. If you start varying the wording in the word problem, then they get kind of lost in the syntax. And what does it mean? If you say you have more, that implies addition, or if you say you have less, that could imply subtraction, but that's not always the case of the process that you would need to go through to solve the problem. So the purpose of this project, like I said, was to design and develop a mobile location-based game for 4th and 5th graders. The reason we're using GPS, hence the name GeePerS, is because we can use that movement of a GPS system to lead the students physically walking between 2 locations to solve problems. And then we can incorporate math-based activities around the locations and distances, and they have an immediate application of their skills to the game that they're playing. Now, this does have multiple components to it. We're not excluding the teachers or the parents. So the classroom teachers will receive a package of curriculum materials that address the very same skills that we're teaching in the game. The game is a superhero game, so the math teacher's materials will probably be more didactic and not as much of a game. And so then the kids get the superhero game. And we're also sending materials home for the parents, and those are daily living skills materials. For example, if you're going to set the table and you need to put 2 more napkins out, how many napkins will you have altogether? So we've got 3 different components going on in our development right now. Our technology uses global positioning on handheld devices, i.e. iPhones, Androids. We might use an iPad at some point. We haven't decided about. Right now we're doing it for development for an iPhone. And I'm going to show you an example of a location-based game that we developed. There's a historical living farm in Logan, and we developed this location-based game to help visitors to this farm learn about historical facts about the farm. Now, of course, GeePerS Math doesn't deal with any historical facts, but you can get the idea of how this game will work.
The blacksmith shop, doing some quick cleaning before breakfast. Okay, 40 feet. This way.
Location-based games are a powerful medium for people to experience events and in environments in a new kind of way. We teach history to our kids so that they can understand how the lessons of the past can be applied to their present and their future. What we can do with location-based games is have an opportunity to put history in their hands and have them make their own history and experiences. This game was built for the American West Heritage Center, and it had specific purposes in mind. We wanted to help visitors who came to the center learn more about what the center had to offer. The activities designed within the game incorporate the past, especially the time period from about 1870 to about 1930, and that's the area in which the center is focused on their education.
One of the main reasons we developed these games was to actually give students a hands-on opportunity to be at a site where history was reenacted and to experience that by actually walking around with historical scenarios in their hands.
The game works by having students take a handheld GPS device and initiating a game from the visitor center. We designed the game so that visitors to the center could take on one of three different perspectives: Native American, a pioneer family, and a mountain man or a trapper. Once they choose a game, they then encounter a storyline or a narrative which helps walk that character through a series of events.
We've set up a GPS waypoint where once students are in a specific predefined box that we've established by GPS coordinates onto that specific area, then another dialogue pop-up comes up.
Now those series of events will take them and direct them to different places at the outdoor museum.
If I pick the Mountain Man game, the first thing that I see is a message comes up and says, the first thing you need to do is go set up a camp and start trapping some beaver. So then they would take the GPS unit and actually physically go down to a river, and by the river, they would be prompted then to lay down their beaver trap. It's a virtual trap. So the coordinates in the GPS unit would tell them, okay, you're close enough to the water, drop your trap here. And then once they click a button, the virtual trap is laid down in the GPS game, and then they're told to go do another task.
Each of those storylines tries to hit all the major places that are also at the center. No matter which storyline you choose, you may end up going to different places in different sequences, but each visitor gets a chance to experience the living history that is taking place at each one of those locations.
One of the things that'll make it stand out for the students is it allows the students to personalize and internalize that content much more so than just reading in a book.
We're giving those players a chance to reflect on those events and what life was like in that time in a completely different way. As an educator and a scholar, I appreciate this kind of technology and thinking about how to research and develop it. We're going to use the GPS technology that is in everyday handheld devices, and particularly smartphones. And we're going to take the game and make it available to anyone and everyone, and also expand the kinds of places for which this kind of game would be useful for people. What is it that we can take from the past and apply it to our...
Okay, so everybody get the idea of what we're doing here? We found that we can't hardly get the games away from the kids once they start playing the games. They have a blast doing this, traveling around, hitting the hot spots, having to do an activity, moving on to the next one. So, of course, with the math game, it'll be math activities. When they hit a hot spot, they have to solve a problem. There'll be a multiple choice question, and it's a superhero game. So it might be something like you're traveling along a path, you see 4 trees. How many more trees do you need to get to before you get to 10 trees? And then once they get the answer, they get to solve part of their superhero game. But they are out running around on a playground doing this. Okay, so in the design, we first of all wanted to make sure that our point of entry into the design was an activity goal alignment. We're always asking ourselves, are our activities meeting our instructional goals? It's easy to get off track when you're trying to make a superhero game. You can really lose sight of your instructional goals. Then we needed to address our audience. Like I said, these are 4th and 5th grade students that are deaf or hard of hearing. We do have one feature we're building in is a sidekick that can be turned on or off to provide ASL signing if they come to a point and they need some extra scaffolding on that. However, that is not available for the oral kids because we know that some parents and teachers are teaching in one way or the other. So anyway, we're having to work with the technology capabilities of the GPS system, and we're working with our teachers to get input on the national and state math standards to develop our curriculum. We're so fortunate to have a woman on our team named Claudia Pagliaro. She's an expert in math education for deaf and hard of hearing children, and she is really giving us a lot of assistance with our curriculum. So again, I said it's the 4th and 5th grade students. The sidekick can be enabled or disabled by the teacher or at the request of the parent. Okay, these are some of our technology capabilities that we're working with right now. The GPS sensitivity is only accurate to us. It's not like they can say I'm standing right in this spot right at this moment. I think it's about 20 meters around me. So we're having to build the hot spots that big so they can get into and out of the hot spot. There's a time lag when you're repositioning yourself, when you move to a different location, when the GPS finds you again. It has to do some calculations, and there's a time lag there. We're also working on data collection. We want to collect data on how many times the kid fails the first question and then has to go to the second question. We don't ever let them not get past a spot, so we give them scaffolding in their problems. So they may have to solve a problem a couple of different times, but it decreases in complexity each time, so they can get through the game. And the logic capabilities right now is only enabling us to have a linear path. There's not a lot of branching in the system. All right, well, here's our content. We got it from Claudia and the teachers. These are the areas we're going to do, in the order we're going to do them. So we'll have 5 different modules or games, if you want to say that. Okay, so you go to the field, you punch a button, that's at your starting point and establishes a virtual perimeter around the kid wherever they are. And then a treasure map is displayed on the screen. So they can see their path walking through the treasure map as they're going from each hotspot to another. And the answers are judged right or wrong, and then they get appropriate feedback and coaching. So we had to determine the content areas, determine the target population. We worked with teachers to do that, identify the target performances, develop our goals, and then start on the storyline and incorporate scaffolding and feedback into our storyline. We also have coaching and feedback. And the scope, right now we're kind of trying to work out how much math do we want to teach in one of these games. We're not trying to actually teach, we're letting the teachers teach the math. We're reinforcing what the teachers teach out in the field. And then at the point of failure, we'll give them hints and different levels of problems. So we're designing the look and feel of the cover story. It is a superhero game. That's what the teacher said that all the kids wanted to play. The logic and the navigation. We're working on getting our signing sidekick in there, and the treasure map overlay. So these are some mock-up screenshots of what our game is probably going to look like. I don't know if you can see it very well. There's a This is a superhero training program. So the kid comes in and gets the instructions, and then they have to go get the machine from so and so's fortress or castle, and they're in when they hit that hot spot, they get another pin and an arrow that shows them which way to go. We're working, and we have the compass system built in, so all they have to do is turn till the compass matches the pin, and it tells them exactly where to go. And then they're presented with a problem. And so then they get the problem, then they have the question, and then they get multiple choice answers, and that's where they get graded. Sorry, that's okay. Okay, so anybody have any questions? Comments?
It's very intriguing use of GPS technology. I wonder how much thought you've given to, in terms of what GPSs do, which is location, you know, geometry and geography. Is that, instead of that being incidental, that becomes purposeful part of what you're trying to accomplish, since you are teaching mathematics?
Yeah, we do have some of the problems that are structured, like you've walked 20 steps and you need to walk 20 more steps to get around the outside of the box. I mean, but we're not keeping it, we're keeping the vocabulary level pretty low, but we could do that. In fact, a next project would be to do this for kids who aren't deaf or hard of hearing, and really start using some more advanced vocabulary in there. They could do measurements with meters and perimeters and angles. And
I guess as you were talking, you know, I mean, the fact that, you know, they're doing this, you know, outside in a museum, you know.
Well, these guys will be in the math kids will be on their playground, so the teacher can actually set up the perimeters and the problems that happen at the locations.
I wonder why you separate the vocabulary level between deaf kids and non-deaf kids. I mean, why not provide a very rich vocabulary to hearing impaired kids?
That's the ideal situation, but unfortunately, it's just a fact of life that kids who are deaf and hard of hearing have a lower vocabulary level than their otherwise hearing peers. There aren't some signs for some words or service words that they're small words called service words that they don't get a lot of training on. They get more training with nouns and verbs, so they're just lower level.
And this cannot be used as a teaching tool for teaching those harder words while they're doing the math and being outside.
Well, yeah,
I wonder, this is totally
that's
not
what.
clear.
No, we're trying to incorporate the literacy level too to bring that up. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.